Yeah, yeah, yeah. Black Society. Yeah, yeah. What's up, YouTube? It's Black Society TV. Man, I got some news for y'all. Oh, do I have some news? So, Warren Hudson, the friend of Nolan Wells, um, the one who's really been doing a lot of the talking for everyone. Um, his dad recently, his dad Benjamin Doctor Benjamin Hudson, Dr. Benjamin Warren Hudson, um, have tried to sue. Well, have gotten a lawyer uh, to try to sue people who, talk about them or talk about the case or um, try to scare people with these defamation lawsuits and all of this kind of stuff. Um, we just gonna talk about facts here, cause see, no one can dispute facts. Can't dispute facts. And if you have a public concern, you have a right to speak on issues if you have public concern. And right now, we have a public concern because we have a young man in Nolan Wells who was Warren Hudson's friend. Okay, they went out with a whole lot of more, like 3 boats full of other young adults, and out of all of those young adults, most of them being Caucasian, um, the only one black full one or only black one that didn't, is the one that didn't come back alive. So we have a public concern here, and an interest in what happened to this young man. So we have, I feel like, and my belief is there's a connection between Traci Turner, who is the medical examiner, and Warren Hudson's dad, Benjamin Hudson, who is a doctor, um, and works out of the Singing River Health System. Uh, you know, how do we know that these two didn't connect on that day? That day after when Nolan went missing. How do we know that there wasn't a connection? You know what I'm saying? Hey, I need help, sister. How do we know? We don't know if there was or wasn't, and we're not gonna say that it was. We just don't know. But we know that there's a medical connection. Them both being in the medical field in Mississippi, her being the chief a medical examiner, and him being a doctor in Mississippi, uh, MD. We gotta know each other. They gotta know about each other. Practice. They gotta know something about each other. Gotta be some type of connection. Um, but Warren Hudson's father, Benjamin Hudson, he's around here trying to sue Benjamin Crump. While he's trying to sue Benjamin Crump, he needs to worry about this lawsuit that was handed down back in 2018 of March. Um, so, Singing River Health System, Jennifer Thomas Taylor, MD, Alpha Britt RN, Benjamin W. Hudson, that's Warren Hudson dad, MD, and Emergency Group Ltd. versus Teresa Vermillion and Julie Vermillion Casby as a wrongful death beneficiaries of Randy Vermillion and Julie Vermillion Casby. Summary: Teresa Vermillion and her daughter Julie Vermillion Casby filed lawsuit against Singing River Health System, pursuant to Mississippi Tort Claims Act for the wrongful death of Randy Vermillion, the husband of Teresa Vermillion and father of Julie Vermillion Casby. Vermillion alleged that Randy had been admitted to the Singing River Hospital following a suicide attempt and that the defendants had breached the standard of care by failing to assess his mental condition. Oh, I guess that's a mental institute, I guess. Properly and prematurely discharging him approximately, causing his suicide minutes after his discharge. Ooh. Julie Vermelia Casby, who had witnessed her father's suicide, asserted a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress. The trial court denied the defendant's motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim. The Mississippi Supreme Court granted appellants interlocutory appeal, finding that Vermelia did state viable legal claims based upon Randy Vermelia's death. The Supreme Court affirmed and remanded the case to the circuit court for further proceedings. Wow. Now let's see. Let's see this, guys. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So date of judgment. Teresa Vermelia and Julie Vermelia. Casby is a wrongful death beneficiary. The attorney disposition, motion for hearing filed, mandated. So, and they just tell about, the facts. Vermelia complaint on October 8, 2015, and amended complaint on November 2015. According, so, going further alleged, when Randy finally agreed to step off the bridge, the officers took him into custody and had him transported ambulance emergency room at Single River Hospital, where he was evaluated and released a few hours later, according to the allegations of the amended complaint. Yeah. So, Randy Vermelia was evaluated by defendants Jennifer Thomas Taylor, MD, Benjamin W. Hudson, MD, and Alva Britt. And then he was released from the hospital on his own, without shoes and without hospital employees having contacted any of his family members. So they didn't contact any of his family members. Just released him. Didn't contact any of his family members now. To inform them of his suicide attempt. The amended complaint alleged that upon his discharge, Randy Vermelia telephoned his daughter, Julie Vermelia Casby, for transportation, and the defendant never informed her of his suicide attempt. Finally, the amended complaint alleged that within minutes of his discharge, Randy Vermelia jumped to his unaliving from a bridge in Moss Point on Highway 613. In the amended complaint, Vermelia alleged that the defendant medical providers had a duty to their patient, Randy Vermelia, to exercise such reasonable care and attention as his mental and emotional condition required. Vermelia claimed that the defendants had breached the standard of care by failing to conduct an adequate suicide assessment, because if one had been conducted, Randy Vermelia would not have been discharged from the hospital prematurely. Vermelia claimed that the failure to take adequate measures to assess Randy Vermelia's mental state and keep him hospitalized proximately had caused his suicide immediately after his discharge. This amended complaint charged that the defendants had failed to assess and treat Randy Vermelia's psychiatric condition, failed to hospitalize. They hospitalized him negligently and prematurely, released him from the hospital, failed to take reasonable steps to prevent him from harming himself, failed to follow the standard care applicable to depressed and suicide patient, and failed to inform Teresa Vermelia or Julie Vermelia Casby of his attempt suicide and need to follow up care. The amended complaint also alleged that physicians and nurses had failed to recognize a definitive signs and symptoms of Randy Vermillious, a medical condition. Vermillious claimed that a Singing River Health System and emergency room group were vicariously liable for the negligent acts and omissions of their employees. Additional, Julie Vermillious Casby asserted a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress based on her having witnessed her father's suicide after the defendant had omitted informing her that he had attempted suicide earlier in the day. Singing River Health System Jennifer Thomas, MD, answered the filed a motion to dismiss for failure to state a claim upon which relief could granted pursuant to Rule 12.6 of the Mississippi Rules of Civil Procedure. Dr. Benjamin Hudson and Emergency Room Group Ltd. filed an answer, and a joiner in Single Rivers and Dr. Thomas Taylor motion to dismiss filed an answer in affirmative defenses in which she moved to dismiss amend complaint for failure to state a claim to defenses in which she moved to dismiss amend complaint for failure to state a claim. The defendant asserted that Vermillious had failed to state claim because under Trudel Baptist Memorial Hospital DeSoto, recovery against a third party for suicide is permitted only upon proof that the descendant had acted under an irresistible impulse approximately caused by the defendant's intentional conduct that had rendered an honorable discern to the nature and consequences of suicide. Okay, so basically, this guy, under the care of Benjamin Hudson and in his emergency room group, and a couple of others, committed a suicide. Because unalived himself. Let's not say that, unalived himself. After they released him. And the family saying, they didn't do a thorough check and they didn't let them know what happened, why he was there, I guess. This is crazy. What a tangle web we weave. And like I said, what if there was a connection between, and then we're not going to talk about Dr.Traci and how she keeps saying that black men are unaliving themselves, how she keep coming back, black women and black men are unaliving themselves, when they're being found hung and things like that. We're not going to even talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. How do we know that all of this is not a cover up, knowing how high profile these people are? How do we know? How do we know? But look at, man, y'all comment, y'all share, y'all subscribe to the channel, man. Hit the super chat and purchase the super chat, guys, so we can help needy families and help the community. Yeah.